I come close to you now, closer than your fear, closer than your thoughts, closer than the breath you're holding in your chest. I see what no one sees. I hear what even you tried to silence. And before you found the words to ask for help, I was already moving. There is a weight you've learned to carry as if it belonged to you, but I know every hidden pressure behind your smile. There are battles inside you that you don't show to anyone, but I have watched each one of them unfold, and with every quiet moment of exhaustion you've lived, I have been lifting what your strength can no longer hold. You think you're alone in this room, but my presence has been sitting in the very space where your tears have fallen. You didn't lose your faith. You're simply tired. And I am here to breathe life back into what you thought was fading. Just let me speak to you now. Let my voice be the change your heart has been waiting for. Let me handle what has been too heavy for you. And before we continue, write in the comments, "Jesus, I trust you." Let this be the seal of your faith in this moment. I have watched you carry more than your body, mind, and heart were designed to hold. You call it being strong, but I call it being overwhelmed in silence. You've learned how to keep walking even when your knees tremble. You've learned how to smile even when something inside you is collapsing. You've learned how to say, "I'm fine," even when your soul has been whispering, "I can't do this anymore." But listen to me now. You don't have to hold this weight alone. I never asked you to. I saw the moment when you started carrying things that weren't yours. I saw the expectations you tried to fulfill, the disappointments you tried to hide, the responsibilities that piled up on your shoulders until you couldn't even breathe without feeling pressure in your chest. And every time you felt like falling apart, you told yourself you just needed more discipline, more control, more silence, more pretending. But what you really needed was me. I am not distant from the heaviness you feel. I am not indifferent to the battles you don't talk about. I am not confused by the fear that you can't explain to anyone else. I know the weight behind your late-night thoughts. I know the exhaustion behind your morning routine. I know the breaking point that you've been hiding under all your strength, and I need you to hear me clearly. You are not weak. You are tired. And I am here to lift what has been crushing your spirit. I step into the places you try to ignore. I breathe into the parts of you that feel numb. I touch the burdens you've been carrying for years, the ones you normalized, the ones you learned to survive with, the ones that took pieces of you without asking permission. I've been relieving you quietly, in moments you didn't even realize were me. When the tears finally fell and you felt a sudden calm, that was me. When you almost gave up, but something inside whispered, "Hold on," that was me. When your heart cracked open and a small spark of faith rose instead of disappearing, that was me. Let me take the weight now. Let me hold what you cannot fix. Let me heal what you don't know how to express. Let me carry what has been drowning your strength. You don't need to pretend anymore. You don't need to act like you're fine. You don't need to fear the collapse, because I am already rebuilding you from the inside. And while I speak this into you, if you want to keep walking with my voice, you can subscribe. Not as a habit, but as a declaration that you want more moments where I remind you that you are not alone, not forgotten, not abandoned. I am here, and I am already lifting what you cannot carry. You've been wondering why everything feels silent, why your prayers seem to echo back into your own mind, why your heart keeps asking, "God, are you doing anything?" while your circumstances appear frozen in place. But listen closely. Just because you can't feel the movement doesn't mean I stopped working. My answers rarely arrive with noise. Sometimes they move like the dawn, slow, quiet, unnoticed, until suddenly the whole horizon is filled with light you didn't see coming. You keep waiting for something dramatic, something immediate, something undeniable. But the greatest changes I bring often begin in places you cannot see. While you were questioning my timing, I was aligning pieces you had no idea were needed. While you wondered if I had forgotten you, I was removing obstacles long before you reached them. While you thought nothing was happening, I was preparing everything you prayed for in ways that would protect your heart and strengthen your faith. You've mistaken silence for absence, but my silence is never empty. It is full of construction, full of movement, full of invisible threads pulling your future into place. You only see delay, but I see coordination. You only see stillness, but I see foundation. You only see confusion, but I see the exact moment where your story begins to shift. I am not late. I am not ignoring you. I am not waiting to see how much you can endure. I am working while you rest. I am building while you question. I am shaping your path with a precision you will understand only when the doors open. There are things I have kept hidden on purpose, not to frustrate you, but to protect what I am forming. If you saw the full picture too soon, you would run ahead of the timing. If you saw the full process, you would try to carry it in your own strength. But faith grows in the unseen, and the unseen is where I am moving the strongest. You have asked me, why don't I feel anything changing? Because the greatest miracles begin underground, where roots stretch quietly, where foundations deepen, where transformation forms before it shows on the surface. You are judging the situation by what your eyes perceive, but I am working in the realm where your eyes cannot reach. You've been walking through days that feel repetitive, empty, unfamiliar, yet every step is part of the path that leads to the moment when everything becomes clear. There will come a day soon when you will turn around and realize that nothing was still. Every second was sacred. Every delay was intentional. Every tear watered something you will harvest. I am the God who moves even when you feel nothing. I am the God who speaks even when you hear silence. I am the God who brings change in ways your heart cannot predict. And even now, right now, the answer you've been waiting for is in motion. You just haven't reached the place where it becomes visible. But you will. I know the moment when your strength gave out. The moment you didn't tell anyone about. The moment when you sat alone and whispered, even if only in your heart, I can't keep doing this. You felt ashamed for reaching that point. You thought you were supposed to handle everything with grace, with faith, with calmness. But exhaustion does not mean you failed. It means you've been carrying more than any human heart was designed to endure. Elijah knew that feeling too. You read about his courage, his miracles, his boldness before crowds, but you forget the moment he ran into the wilderness and collapsed beneath a simple broom tree, whispering that he had reached his limit. He wasn't weak, he was overwhelmed, he was tired, he was human, and I met him there. I didn't scold him. I didn't shame him for his exhaustion. I didn't demand more strength from a heart that was already trembling. I came close. I restored. I breathed life back into what felt crushed inside him, and I am doing the same with you. Your exhaustion does not intimidate me. Your tears do not push me away. Your confusion does not cancel my plans. Your fear does not make me reconsider your worth. I have been sitting beside the moments when you felt empty, when you laid awake in the quiet hours, trying to figure out why everything felt so heavy, when you wondered if you would ever feel yourself again, when you thought something was wrong with your faith because you felt drained instead of strong. Hear me, your faith is not broken, it is bruised from the battle, and I am the one who heals bruised faith, not the one who condemns it. Just as I touched Elijah's life in the wilderness, I am touching yours now. I am restoring what burnout stole from you. I am calming what fear has stirred inside you. I am gathering the scattered pieces of your heart with more tenderness than you've ever known. You think you're supposed to be constantly courageous, constantly hopeful, constantly full of energy. But faith is not the absence of weariness. It is the act of letting me meet you in it. Elijah believed enough to collapse in my presence, and that was enough. And your honest exhaustion is enough for me too. I know the battle you've been fighting inside, the one no one sees, the one you push through because others depend on you, the one that drains you even when you're trying to hide it. I know how long you've been carrying the weight of being strong. Come to me in this moment of emptiness. Let me do for you what I did for Elijah. Feed your soul, steady your breathing, lift your spirit, and show you that this moment is not the end. It is the turning point. Your story is not collapsing. It is being rebuilt. Your heart is not failing. It is being renewed. This exhaustion is not your identity. It is the place where I begin to bring change. I met Elijah in the wilderness when he had nothing left, and I am meeting you the very same way. You look around your room at night and see stillness, quiet walls, a dim light, a silence that feels heavier than the day you just lived. You tell yourself nothing is happening, nothing is shifting, nothing is changing, but you are only looking with human eyes. If you could see what I see, you would fall to your knees in awe. Your room is not empty. It has never been empty. Heaven has been standing in the very space where you thought you were alone. I have watched you sit on the edge of your bed, trying to slow your breathing, trying to understand the ache inside your chest, trying to convince yourself that tomorrow will look different, even though today exhausted you. And while you sat there feeling forgotten, I was closer than your own heartbeat. You didn't notice the way peace brushed against you for a moment. That was me. You didn't realize why your mind didn't break, despite the pressure. That was me. You didn't see the unseen fight happening in the spiritual realm, but I did. And I stood between you and everything that tried to drown you. The silence you fear is not abandonment. It is the atmosphere where I work most powerfully. This quiet room has become an altar, a sanctuary, a holy ground where I have been building what you asked me for, even when you felt nothing. There are angels stationed around the very space you call empty. They have guarded your rest, protected your mind, and carried battles you never knew were being fought. And while you slept with worry heavy on your chest, I whispered over you the promises you had forgotten. I spoke life into the parts of you that felt numb. I pushed back darkness that you were never meant to see. You think nothing is happening because the change has not reached your eyes. But change begins in the unseen. Faith thrives in the invisible, and I, your God, move strongest in the silence you misunderstand. Every night you felt alone, I was there, watching over you, shielding you, aligning what your tomorrow will require. Not one of your tears fell without heaven standing beside you. Not one breath trembled without my presence surrounding it. Not one prayer left your heart without touching mine. When you whisper, "God, are you here?" I answer, "I never left." I have filled the quiet corners of your room with direction you haven't heard yet. I have filled the air with strength you're about to feel. I have filled the shadows with protection that will soon become visible. I have filled your heart with a change that is already unfolding, even if slowly, even if silently. You are surrounded by more than you can see. Your room is breathing with my presence, alive with my movement, saturated with my nearness. And if anything in this moment touched you, write in the comments, "Jesus, I know you are here." Let these words become the echo of your faith in the place where you once felt alone. There was a young man in Texas who tried to do everything on his own. He carried responsibilities he never spoke about. He hid fears that no one ever noticed. He carried disappointments that kept piling up in his chest until breathing felt like lifting something heavy. He kept telling himself he just needed to be stronger, try harder, push more, ignore the pain, stay in control. But late one night, sitting alone in his car in an empty parking lot, everything inside him finally broke. Not in anger, but in exhaustion so deep that he felt himself unraveling. His hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Tears he had ignored for years ran down his face. And for the first time, he whispered, "God, I can't do this anymore." He thought I would be disappointed in him. He thought reaching his limit meant he had failed in his faith. He thought collapsing meant he was weak. But I was there, so close that my presence filled the very air around him. I watched every tear fall like a confession he didn't know how to speak. I saw the years of pressure behind his breakdown. I saw the way he tried to hold everyone else together while quietly falling apart inside. And I did not turn away. I did not accuse him. I did not ask for more strength from a soul already worn thin. I stepped into the car with him, not visibly, but truly. I wrapped around his collapsing heart. And in the stillness of that moment, I lifted what he could not carry anymore. He didn't feel a sudden miracle. He didn't see a flash of light. He didn't hear my voice out loud. But something shifted deep inside him. The weight that had been crushing him softened. The despair that pressed against his chest loosened. And a quiet strength, something not his own, began to rise from the places that had felt dead. What he didn't know was that I had been preparing that moment for a long time. I allowed everything he was carrying to surface, not to break him, but to free him. I wasn't punishing him. I was uncovering the burden he tried to handle without me. I was guiding him into the change he had prayed for but didn't know how to reach. From that night forward, his steps didn't magically become easy, but they became lighter. He still had battles, but he no longer fought them alone. He still had fears, but they no longer ruled him. He still had responsibilities, but the pressure no longer crushed him. Because faith isn't about never reaching your limit. Faith is about letting me meet you there. And just like I stepped into that car with him, I step into the moment where you feel you're breaking, not to demand more of you, but to take from you what was never yours to carry alone. Your breaking point is not the end. It is the doorway to the change your heart has been waiting for. And I am standing in that doorway with you now. You keep looking at your life and calling it confusion. You see pieces that don't fit, plans that collapsed, doors that stayed shut, days that feel unpredictable, and emotions that rise and fall without warning. You look at the mess and assume something is wrong with you, wrong with your faith, wrong with your future. You tell yourself you must have taken a wrong turn somewhere or missed something I was trying to show you. But hear me now. What you call confusion, I call construction. You see a puzzle scattered across the floor, but I see a foundation being rebuilt. You see chaos, but I see alignment. You see detours, but I see protection. You see delay, but I see the exact moment where your story begins to transform. You don't realize how much I've been rearranging, how many things I've moved out of your path because they would have harmed you, how many things I've slowed down because your heart wasn't ready for them yet, how many things I've accelerated because your spirit needed them sooner than you understood. Confusion is not the absence of my guidance. It is the evidence that I am breaking down what was unstable so I can build something that can actually hold the weight of your future. You feel like everything is falling apart, but nothing that is meant for you is being lost. Only what cannot remain is being removed. Only what was draining you is being dismantled. Only what was limiting your faith is being shaken loose. When a building is under construction, the ground shakes, walls come down, dust rises, nothing looks like the finished design, and from the outside, it seems like nothing is being built at all, only destroyed. But the builder sees differently. The builder knows that before strength comes structure, before beauty comes breaking, before completion comes the mess that no one wants to experience. You are standing in the middle of the construction zone of your own destiny. That's why it feels unstable. That's why you can't predict anything. That's why you keep questioning whether something is wrong inside you. Nothing is wrong. Something is being rebuilt. I am rearranging the pieces of your life with intentional precision. I am removing the weight that was never meant to follow you into the next season. I'm shifting relationships, opportunities, desires, and directions, not to confuse you, but to align you with the future you prayed for. Change rarely looks holy at first. It looks disruptive. It looks unrecognizable. It looks like losing control. But faith is trusting me in the noise before you see the design. You want clarity, but clarity comes after construction. Once the dust settles, once the new shape emerges, once the pieces fall into place with the beauty you couldn't imagine yet, and when you finally step into what I am building, you will understand why these confusing days were necessary. You will see that I wasn't abandoning you. I was preparing you. I wasn't confusing you. I was protecting you. I wasn't delaying you. I was strengthening you. What you call confusion today will soon reveal itself as the foundation of the greatest change you have ever experienced. You've been pushing so hard, trying to open doors, trying to prove yourself, trying to keep everything from falling apart, trying to make something happen before you even know what the season is meant to hold. You've grown tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of feeling like nothing responds to your effort. And inside that exhaustion, you've begun to wonder if maybe you need to force the breakthrough, force the answer, force the next step. But listen to me. You don't need to force what I am already shaping. There are doors that stay still for a reason, not because they are rejecting you, but because I am timing them with precision. If they open too early, the blessings behind them would overwhelm you. If they opened too late, your heart would be drained beyond repair. So I open them in the exact moment your spirit is strong enough to enter and wise enough to remain. You see a door that won't budge. I see a door whose hinges I am strengthening so it can hold the weight of what you've prayed for. You see delay. I see protection from paths that would have broken your peace. You see rejection. I see redirection toward the future I designed for you long before you could imagine it. I need you to understand this. The silence around you is not inactivity. It is alignment. It is preparation. It is the sacred space where I shape what you are about to walk into. You've been trying to push forward with your own strength because you fear missing your moment. But you cannot miss what I have authored. You cannot lose what I have ordained. You cannot ruin what my hands are building. I am shaping opportunities you haven't seen yet. I am preparing conversations you haven't heard yet. I am guiding hearts that will one day stand beside you. And every detail is moving exactly as it should, even when it feels painfully still. I know how the waiting affects you. I know how the uncertainty pulls at your mind. I know how badly you want to step into what feels like relief. But what I am forming requires patience, not because I am withholding good from you, but because I am constructing something that will last. If you rush the process, you will step into rooms you aren't prepared to remain in. If you force timing, you will settle for less than what I designed. If you push out of fear, you will anchor yourself in places that cannot carry your calling. Let me shape it. Let me pace it. Let me open the door when the moment aligns with your purpose. You don't need to force anything when I am holding everything. And when you finally step into what I have prepared, you will understand why every closed door was an act of mercy, why every delay was a shield, why every silent moment was filled with my presence, and why every hesitation in your spirit was me whispering, "Not yet," because I'm still shaping what belongs to you. And if this word resonates with your heart, write in the comments, "Jesus, I will wait for your timing." Let those words become the place where faith rests instead of forcing. I have seen every tear you've tried to hide, the ones that slipped out quietly when no one was around, the ones you wiped away quickly so you wouldn't have to explain, the ones that came without warning, and the ones that burned because you held them back for too long. You think your tears fall without meaning. You think they disappear into your pillow or onto your hands with no purpose. But tears are never wasted in my presence. They carry direction. They carry emotion you never learned how to speak. They carry prayers your voice could not form. And they move heaven in ways you do not understand. Every tear you've shed has been gathered. Not one has fallen to the ground without me knowing the reason behind it. Not one has escaped my attention. Not one has been ignored. Your tears tell a story of pressure, longing, disappointment, hope, fear, and the deep desire for change that lives inside your heart. You feel weak when you cry, but your tears are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign that your spirit is still alive, still fighting, still believing that something can shift, still holding on to faith, even when your mind feels overwhelmed. When you cried in exhaustion, I stood beside you. When you cried from frustration because things weren't changing fast enough, I listened to the ache behind your silence. When you cried because your heart felt broken, I moved closer than the pain. When you cried because you didn't understand what I was doing, I wrapped you in a presence you didn't have words for. Your tears have direction because your heart has direction, and I am the one leading it. I guide them toward healing. I guide them toward clarity. I guide them toward transformation. I guide them toward change that will make sense in time. You often pray with words, but there are moments when your tears have prayed louder than your voice ever could. They carry honesty that your lips hesitate to express. They carry truth you're afraid to admit. They carry the purest form of surrender, because tears reveal what the mind tries to control. I have seen you cry after trying your best. I have seen you cry when memories resurfaced. I have seen you cry in moments when you felt empty. I have seen you cry when you thought something inside you was breaking. And I want you to know this. You never cried alone. My presence has surrounded every moment your emotions overflowed. Your tears have been watering the ground of the very future you've been praying for. They have softened your heart so it can receive what's coming. They have washed away things that were harming you. They have prepared you for the kind of change that only deep honesty can create. There will come a day when you look back and understand why your tears mattered, why they had direction, why they moved you closer to healing, why they opened the path toward peace, why they shaped your faith in ways quiet moments cannot. You may feel fragile, but fragility in my hands becomes strength. You may feel broken, but brokenness in my hands becomes restoration. You may feel lost, but every tear has been marking the path toward the place I am guiding you. Nothing you've felt has been wasted. Nothing you've cried has been lost. Your tears have been leading you toward the life I've been preparing for you. One step, one breath, one quiet moment at a time. You spend so much time worrying about what comes next. the decisions you haven't made yet, the doors you haven't seen open yet, the conversations you're afraid will go wrong, the outcomes that feel uncertain and out of your control. Your mind keeps running ahead of you, imagining every possibility, every risk, every scenario that could turn into disappointment or pain. But hear me, I am already standing in the part of the story you haven't reached. You look at the future and see a fog. I look at the future and see a path I have already cleared. You see unknowns. I see a landscape I have walked through long before you were born. You see danger. I see preparation, timing, and alignment. Nothing ahead of you is unfamiliar to me. Nothing surprises me. Nothing catches me off guard. Nothing waits in your future that I have not already stepped into with authority and protection. You fear what you cannot predict, but your fear is based on the illusion that you are walking alone. You are not, you never have been. When your mind runs into tomorrow, my presence is already there. When your heart trembles at what might happen, my hands are already holding the outcome. When you imagine worst-case scenarios, I have already secured the best path for your soul. You feel the weight of decisions because you think one wrong step will ruin everything. But I am the God who builds around your weaknesses. I guide even when you hesitate. I protect even when you don't notice. I redirect even when you take a path I never intended for you. Your future is not fragile. It is held. It is watched over. It is prepared by the same hands that held you in the darkest nights. I have already removed dangers you would have walked into unknowingly. I have already blocked paths that would have broken you. I have already arranged opportunities that will appear right when your heart is ready. I have already whispered into the hearts of people you have not met yet, aligning them with the story unfolding around you. You worry because you see gaps, but I see timing, you see delays, but I see foundations being strengthened. You see silence, but I see a future that is growing roots beneath the surface, roots of faith, roots of courage, roots of change. And I need you to know this with certainty. Your future doesn't depend on your perfection, it depends on my presence, and I'm already there. The version of you that you will become, the healed you, the restored you, the courageous you, the peaceful you. I have already seen that version. I am shaping you toward it every day, in ways you don't yet understand. So breathe. Walk forward without fear. You are stepping into territory I have already prepared, a story I have already written, a path I have already secured. And if this word speaks to something deep inside you, write in the comments, Jesus, I trust you with my future. Let your own faith echo into the very place I have already gone ahead of you. Right now, everything feels still in a way that confuses you, still in a way that makes you wonder if you've misunderstood my voice, if you've taken a wrong step, or if heaven has gone quiet on you altogether. You look around your life and it seems like nothing is shifting, nothing is opening, nothing is moving forward. You stand in this silence and ask, God, where are you? Why does this moment feel so empty? But this moment is not empty. It is sacred. This is the moment before I speak. You are standing in the same kind of stillness that covered the earth before creation, the same kind of quiet that surrounded Moses before the burning bush ignited, the same kind of hush that filled Elijah's cave before my whisper reached him, the same kind of pause that rested over the disciples before the storm calmed at my command. Every great move of mine begins in stillness. You mistake stillness for stagnation, but stillness is the atmosphere where I align the deepest shifts. You think silence means nothing is happening, but silence is where my voice gathers strength, where it prepares to break through walls you thought would never fall. You believe waiting means delay, but waiting is the doorway between what you've prayed for and what is about to unfold. I am not withholding my voice. I am preparing your heart to receive it. If I spoke too soon, your fear would distort what I'm saying. If I moved too quickly, your anxiety would drown my direction. If I opened the path before you were ready, the weight of the blessing would crush what I'm still healing inside you. So I bring you into this quiet place, not to confuse you, but to steady you, to soften your spirit so it can hear, to calm your inner storm so my words can land with clarity, to clear the noise from your mind so my guidance can shape you. This silence is not me pulling away. It is me drawing nearer than ever. I am closer in the stillness than in the noise, closer in the waiting than in the breakthrough. closer in the quiet than in the moment you finally see the answer. Your spirit is learning to recognize me, not by what I do, but by who I am, your constant, your foundation, your God who never moves away from you. What feels like a pause is actually preparation. What feels like emptiness is actually alignment. What feels like an absence is actually the breath before my voice fills your life again. And when I speak, because I will, my words will not come to merely comfort you. They will come to lift you, to redirect you, to break chains you didn't realize were holding you, to bring clarity that sweeps through your confusion like light breaking across a dark horizon. This is the moment before revelation. This is the inhale before the shift. This is the quiet before faith becomes sight. This is the threshold between what has been shaping you and what will soon transform you. I am here. I am watching over your heart. And my voice is closer than you think, closer than your next breath, closer than your next sunrise, closer than the change that is already forming beneath the surface of your life. Stand in this stillness with peace. This is the moment before I speak. I'm closing this moment with you the same way I have carried you through every silent night, every heavy breath, every question that felt unanswered. Nothing in your journey has been wasted. Nothing has slipped out of my sight. The moments that felt empty were filled with my presence. The nights that felt directionless were shaping your strength. The days that seemed motionless were aligning your future with precision you could not yet see. You have walked through pressure, longing, confusion, waiting, and quiet tears. But through every step, I have been forming something deeper inside you. You are not where you started. Your faith is stronger. Your heart is wiser. Your spirit is softer in the places it once felt hardened. And now you stand on the edge of a shift, the edge of clarity, the edge of a future I have already prepared. And now I place my hand upon you. I speak peace to your mind. I speak rest into the places where your soul has been tired. I speak healing into the wounds you don't talk about. I speak courage into the places that still tremble. I speak direction into the quiet corners of your heart. Let this presence wrap around you like a sunrise after a long night. Let this calmness hold you. Let this truth anchor you. You are not behind, not forgotten, not abandoned, because I am leading you forward with purpose and love. And while this peace settles over you, if my voice touched something deep inside you today, write in the comments, "Jesus, I'm ready for what you're leading me into." Let your own words become the expression of your faith. And if this message breathed hope into your spirit, tap the like button, letting it be a sign that something inside you is awakening again. And if you want to keep walking with my voice, and subscribe, so every time you need guidance, comfort, or clarity, my words will be waiting to lift you and remind you that you're never alone. I am here, I am with you, and I will speak again.